expensive on the dyno time, but it means you get maximum benefit, which is period on a Friday.
Yeah, no, well, you say more expensive. As I remember once turning up at Brands Hatch with our old friend the Colonel, just to purely run our bikes in for the meeting that was coming up that weekend. Right, away we go then. Is this the warm-up lap or is this the actual race lap?
No, this is the race lap.
Excellent. Sorry, it wasn't too busy chatting away to you. Who's got the lead there, mate?
Yeah, that looks like Cadwell.
What a surprise.
Turn one, yeah. I mean, Mark Hay got the jump in the first race, but I think he returned into toppers in about third place, so I guess, Bradley, you're going to pick them up now?
Yeah, got them right here, and it's number 51, Kev Woolley, Mark Haig, Alan Cooper, David Ball, Richard Hayward is your top five with Calvin Hogan and Alan Bushell playing chase, and Paul Whitby, number 74, in 8th position, but everybody is through safely, and the number 77 of Adam Collins brings up the rear of the field as we come down Park Straight and up towards Park Corner for the first time of 6. But once again, it's number 51, the former champion there of Kev Woolley, who is leading the way. So around Park Corner they go. They're already on towards Chris Curve. And again, it looks as though that Kev Woolley is looking to make the break already in the early stages of this opening lap. Ahead of the 110 of Mark Haig. And then it is Cooper from Ball. And then Alan Bushell, number 6, having a good... is in a good position at the moment as we go in towards Mansfield. Looks like we may have a retirement here. I believe it is at number 41 of Spike Abraham. So David Abraham may be a retirement. He was on the inside of the circuit down towards Mansfield and going relatively slowly by Abraham's pace indeed. But in towards the Hallbend section of the circuit for the opening lap, and it is number 51 of Kev Woolley.
Certainly is, mate. He's broken the back of the pack already. I reckon he's going to have about a second and a half when he comes across the line here, which he'll be doing very shortly indeed. He's working his way through the hall bends there over the top. Really great part of the circuit. It's a fantastic circuit, Cadwell. It really is. I just kind of wish it was a little bit wide. It would be a little bit more reassuring if it was in parts. Anyway, over the line goes Kev Woolley, and he has got an advantage of 1.794 seconds over Mark Haig. Alan Cooper along the line in third. Then it's David Ball. Alan Bushell's made up a lot of ground there, makes up a couple of places. It's Calvin Hogan who's had the bad opening lap, unfortunately for Calvin, because he comes across the line in fourth place, having dropped 4 places. Paul Whitby makes it 1. Tom Ridley makes it 1. Richard Hayward goes back by 3. Andy Bursko makes up. We've got a yellow flag at the Hall Bends there, so somebody hasn't come through. It looks like we're missing Andy Wales, David Abraham, Darren Cooper and Martin Pearson. I'm not quite sure if they all started. I'm pretty sure Andy and David were there. So
David Abraham was cruising as he went down in towards Mansfield.
Oh, okay, so he might have retired somewhere else in the track. It
could well be
Andy Wales then. That yellow's gone out, so whatever it was, they managed to move it out of the way pretty quickly, but if you've gone down, you can't remount anymore. Mr. Woolley charges out the back there. Let me guess, he's opened up that gap to about 3 seconds now, has he, mate?
Oh, I'll tell you what, sorry, kid, I was just having a look at Calvin Hogan up the inside of Paul Whitby, and they were side by side, and they're so close. But Calvin Hogan just about made the move stick as they go through the chicane now, but there was nothing to separate them side by side as they went in towards Mansfield. So Calvin Hogan means business.
Well, why wouldn't he? At the end of the day, he's suffering from that poor start. I'll tell you who else might be in business, mate. Mark Hay goes purple in sector 1 there. So we were expecting Woolley to open up that gap a bit more, but that purple, I think, has meant that Haig has probably closed the gap only by a little bit. But hey, it's a little bit by little bit. It all counts at the end of the day. We'll wait and see what the gap is at the end of the lap as Woolley now comes out of barn. And I think it's developing into a Kev Woolley versus the rest. The rest having a good scrap between them. Mark Hay comes across the line 2.1 seconds because he couldn't sustain it for the whole lap. But he does indeed get a very decent lap time in there in the 43s, the top 4 in the 43s. A very hot pace straight away there as they come across the line. No great changes. But Hay, Cooper, Ball, and that's going to be, I think, the main battle we're going to be witnessing here as they sort out the minor placings in this race, because I can't see anybody catching Woolley. Having said that, Hogan now just goes purple in sector 2, so maybe Calvin's got his eyes on the prize there. He's 6th place at the moment, nearly a second behind Alan Bushell, but I think he's got the club in his sights there, Bradley.
I'll keep a close eye on him as he goes around Chris Curve once again. Kev Woolley with that 2-second advantage. He's going from the right to the left now for the gooseneck on the plunge down in towards Mansfield, and that is a change there of 2nd place because it was Mark Haig. It's now Alan Cooper, bike number 30, who's moved up to 2nd place ahead of Mark Haig. That is 1st, 2nd and 3rd with 4th positions. Still there is number 8 of David Ball. There's Alan Bushell and Calvin Hogan. So the first sector times will be coming through now, and I can see that it's green, personal best for Cooper, Ball and Bushell.
Well, I can see Mr. Hayes been relegated by 1 place. I think that's Alan Cooper who's managed to find his way past on him as Haig does go yellow in the first sector there. Obviously, it's all fractions of a second, but it always gives us a rough idea as to what's going on. But Cooper is definitely ahead of Haig now, and I think Ball would like to go with him and maybe get those extra couple of points to keep the championship very much alive, because he did see championship extend at the end of the first race there, and he'd like to keep that momentum for the rest of the weekend as Woolley comes across the line to complete half distance of this race. Gap is down to 3.3 seconds. Behind him it is Alan Cooper, Mark Haig, and there's David Ball, sorry. There's Andy Bushell. Calvin Hogan doesn't get any quicker, actually. In fact, a bit slower than Bushell in front of him. I was expecting Hogan after the previous good lap to close the gap a little bit, but he goes a couple of cents slower, so it doesn't do his charge any good at all. Paul Whitby behind him a little bit slower again, but he's starting to have a bit of a lonely race there, as indeed is Tom Ridley. Starting to spread out now. Good battle between Bursko and Lee across the line there, separated by just the half second or so. But the main battle is still that one for second place. Anybody doing any challenging out there, mate?
No, I'm just watching a battle between Mungo and the renter racer of number 100. That is Rob Tucker, I believe, who's just heading down in towards Park Corner now. But Kev Woolley there. The rear wheel just leaving the ground for a second under brakes, and Alan Bushell was strong on the brakes as well in 5th place. He closed the gap right onto the rear wheel of number 8 of David Ball, as Alan Cooper looked for the inside line on Mark Haig for second position, but Mark Haig holds on to second position ahead of the number 30 of Alan Cooper in third. And there Calvin Hogan is he catching him there? In fact, it's Paul Whitby in the first sector, Keith, who's gone purple. So Paul Whitby, number 74, the man in 7th, he is the man with the pace.
Well, it looks like he's leaving a little bit late in the race there, but yeah, you're right. All of a sudden, Paul Whitby doing the closing, but he's got a big gap between himself and Calvin Hogan, so he certainly didn't use any slipstream to pick up that sort of advantage. I think Hogan has closed a little bit there as well. Nobody's closing in on Woolley, who just keeps putting in fastest lap after fastest lap. 43.0 last time round for the best lap of the race. 4 laps in, he does indeed go a little bit quicker again with a 42.791. Haig and Cooper are side by side across the line. Advantage of Haig by 0.08 of a second. Ball still hangs in there, picking up a double toe, 0.3 of a second back from that particular pair. Bushell Hogan would be in 44 seconds, his best of the race. Gets the gap down to 2.5 seconds because he's only actually Hogan was a little bit quicker, so the gap goes out. He just extends it between himself and Ridley. So enjoying the empty track in relative terms is Paul Whitby. Mungo Prentice gets passed by Tucker down there in 12th place. Ridley still third of the Clubbins, and the leaders, I imagine, are back well past you, up towards Clark Curve by now, I should think, mate.
Yeah, they're heading towards Chris Curve now, and I must apologise. It's James Tucker, not Rob Tucker. It's James Tucker on the renter racer, and Mungo, I'll tell you what, he's just having a little bit of a flirt with the grass on the exit of Charlie's 2 was Mungo, but here's that battle for second place now. It's Alan Cooper, Mark Haig, but Mark looks for the inside, and I think is just about going to squeeze out Alan Cooper there. They go out of sight momentarily, but as they reappear back into my view, it's, I'll tell you what, I think it just outbreak themselves there, because Alan Cooper is going into the chicane now. Mark Haig is just going around about a tenth or 2 behind him. And what lap are we on now? So we're coming up to the final lap as well when they cross the line next time around.
Yeah, we certainly will be. And this time I saw Mr. Woolley come into the mountain bottom, and the others hadn't come out of the chicane this time. Such is his lead. That'll give us a rough idea how much of a lead you need. He did go purple in sector 1 again, so looks to improve on his 42.791 from the previous lap. The rest of that gang is still having a good battle between them. Here comes Woolley then. There's the hurry up flag. You'd have to tell Kev to hurry up. He's already gone and hurried up. Over the line he goes. He does go yellow, but he goes purple and yellow for another fastest lap of 42.618. Now it looks as though Alan Cooper is actually establishing himself in second place there, mate. He's got the break, and I think you said Haig flirted with the grass. I think he lost a little bit of time there because he lost 1.3 seconds to Cooper that time, so it could be all over Rover as far as the silver medal goes. And I tell you what, Mr. Ball wants that third place off of Haig, because he really wants to close that gap and to get the advantage back over on Cooper. So keep an eye on that. That's your main battle on the track, I think, mate.
I think David Ball uses a slightly different line every time compared to those around him. It just gives him a little bit of an edge as they come on towards Park Straight, so he may use that to his advantage, along with the slipstream as well, to hopefully put himself in prime position of challenging for that second position. But looking up towards Chris Curve, and see that, hold on, looks like they've got two side by side very close now. I thought we were missing one, but they were so close that I couldn't see the other one. So it is Alan Cooper in second position. David Ball is there in fourth, but Mark Haig doing everything he can to hold on to that third place position. Of course, that will be 16 points then for Mark Haig. In fact, it will be 25 in the club run for Mark Haig, regardless of his position on track. But as we go out of the chicane and underneath the bridge, you can see that David Ball is looking left, he's looking right, but there's just no opportunity.
No, absolutely not. He couldn't pull alongside Mark. Mark had that very well covered indeed. They go across the top of the mountain. No one's going to challenge Kev's win. He's got yellow in sector one. I don't think he needs to worry about the fastest lap anymore. He's certainly got that in his pocket. Not that there's any bonus points for it. And Cooper, I have to say, is looking quite safe in second, particularly if Ball and Haig start arguing over the minor placings. There's the checkered flag. Kev Woolley, 25 points. That makes him the king of the mountain, doesn't it, Pete?
It really does, yeah. For the second year on the bounce, following his two consecutive championships. The guy is another class. It's actually unbelievable.
Really is. Alan Cooper does indeed hang on for second ahead of Mark Haig. There's David Ball, Calvin Hogan, Paul Whitby. Let's see who's going to be second of the Clubmans. Is probably going to go the way of Tom Ridley. Yep, over the line he goes to pick up the still got the rookie best on his say he's racing as a Clubman. Beats Richard Hayward, who was also out in the CB 500s. A little bit of a crossover with the CB 500s and the YPMs. I see a few people are having a go at both at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. There's a couple of riders at the minute from our side. So Richard Hayward is one of them, and Danny Goss jumped on one as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
Danny's got a few issues with his shoulder, and he's actually struggling on the TZR. He's finding that the CB 500 is easy to ride. I was chatting to him earlier, and I suggested to him that why does he just put a set of straight bars on the
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't be the first to do that. I think it's only a riding position thing, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.